Hello, and thank you for watching The Good, the Bad, the Ugly of Social Media, presented to you by the Nashville Public Library Studio Program. While we're going to talk about social media, we would like to know, what do you think about social media? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's positive? Do you have negative thoughts about social media? If you do, what are those thoughts? Do you think it could be a balance? Social media can be a fun and a scary place all at the same time, but we want to make sure in this workshop we address anything that may be good with social media, some concerns, and also the bad part of social media. Let's start with some of the good things that can come out of social media. Okay, let's take time to think about some of the good things that can possibly come out of social media. I'm not sure if some of you are familiar with the Ice Bucket Challenge that was all the craze a couple of years ago, where people were helping to raise money for ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease. Because of that Bucket Challenge that was featured all over social media, they were able to raise over $200 million for research and study on the Lou Gehrig's disease, because at this moment there is no cure for it, but because of the money raised, they were able to identify the gene, so now they're able to further their study to make sure they find out where it comes from. And when they find out where it comes from, it can help them get to the point where they can actually find treatment and possibly even a cure. So I think that's definitely one of the best things that could have possibly happened out of this challenge. Also, when you look at this beautiful young lady, her name is Riley. Sometimes we as parents or aunts and uncles, we like to share our pictures of our kids because we believe they're just so cute, right? Well, Riley's mom put this picture on social media, and one of her friends was familiar with the rare eye disease. And if you look at Riley's picture, you can see one is your typical red eye, which can happen when you're taking pictures and using flash. But on her actual left eye, you see it looks kind of golden, which is a sign of a rare eye disease that, if left untreated, could possibly lead to blindness. But because Riley's mom posted this on Facebook, she had a friend who was familiar with it, knew the signs, and she alerted Riley's mother, and they were able to go and get tested. And when they got tested, they made sure they caught it in time, and thankfully, they were able to save Riley's eyesight. So that was also another good thing that came out of social media. Now let's take a look at some of the good things that could also come out of social media. The first thing is, it's the fastest way to get out information. If you're using the internet, a social media app, text message, any of those things, as soon as you type in the information or record the information that you're wanting to get someone to see or access, it's just at the drop of the dime. They can get it as soon as you post it. You can also share with friends and family who may not live in your house. They may not live in your city, but they can live in a completely different country. And if you all share some of the same apps that may be used on the internet, you can get that information to them just like you were there. A lot of times we use different filters that can be really fun and show different ways to take pictures. If you're not good with using makeup, or you want to add some sparkle to it, you can do that using different apps that are actually on the internet, and it can be actually kind of fun. It can be used as a learning tool. Right now, if you are wanting to get help with your kids' homework, or they're wanting to get help with their homework, or if they're looking to find or do some research on anything that could possibly come up with them for school, they can use apps, they can use the internet, they can also talk to their teachers electronically, friends who also may be able to help them, to tutor them. So it's a lot easier to get help that you need when you're actually using social media and the internet. Kids are always more familiar now because of new and emerging technologies. Whatever new phone may be coming out, what new tablets, computers, they always advertise first on social media and using the internet. Commercials are also a good way of getting this information, but kids are always on their YouTube. They can find how it works, what they like about it, what they don't like about it. So a lot of times they're already familiar with these different products before they even come out to be able to even purchase them. So those are just a few of some of the good things that can come out of social media. Now let's take a look at some of the bad things that could possibly happen on social media. Now, with anything, there could be some things that are good, but there could also be some things that can be bad. So let's take a look at some of the things, a couple of examples that could be bad on social media. This particular young lady was excited that she had just been offered a job at a company called Cisco. But she also put that she hated the work and she really was against the daily commute. Sometimes we get comfortable putting our lives out there for our friends and family to see, but not only our friends and family can see what we tweet or what we post. Her future manager at Cisco saw this tweet and was not too happy about it. So, since she wasn't sure if she really wanted to do the job, they made a decision to go a different way, and this young lady was unable to start this new job because of what she put out there on social media. Now, here's a fun thing to look at. Here's one of the popular memes, and let's read what it says. Don't believe everything you read on the internet. Albert Einstein. So let's take a look. Do you see anything wrong with this particular meme? When I look at this, the first thing I noticed that is not Albert Einstein. It is actually Abraham Lincoln. But one thing when I show this particular meme, a lot of people miss. Don't believe everything you read on the internet. Do you believe that Abraham Lincoln or Albert Einstein were around when the internet was created? If you guess no, you are absolutely correct, because they were not. The whole purpose of this meme is so people don't become comfortable just because they see something on the internet or something posted on social media that they automatically assume that it's true. Because it's very easy to put something out there and it can actually be incorrect. So we want to take mind of that. Here's a particular text message between two teens, and they were talking amongst themselves. Can you read this text message? Take a moment to try. If you're having problems, let me read it for you. Where are you at? The Uber is ready. I'm at the library, waiting inside. Hurry here, we're gonna miss our ride. Shaking my head, talk to you later. Sometimes, and not just young people, but teens, they have their own little language. They abbreviate punctuations, they abbreviate their words, which is fine when you're talking to your friends and they know what you want. But sometimes when you get so comfortable writing and talking a particular way that is incorrect, where it's okay to talk to your friends like that, it may not be okay to talk to your parents or your boss or write a paper for your teacher that's written like this. So sometimes you have to know when and when you shouldn't use this type of slang or abbreviated words. Okay, let's take a look at some other things that could possibly be bad when it comes to social media and the internet. The first thing is, if we're not careful, some social media applications and other apps can give away your location. It's one thing if your parents have an application on your phone where they can track you to make sure that you're safe and you are where you're supposed to be. But there are also other apps that can give away your location. And if you're not careful, People who have no business having access to you or your location may be able to get that information. A lot of times applications, they will let you know we have access to your location and give you the opportunity to opt out. That's something that I highly recommend, and I think you should do that because we want to make sure that you are protected. Also, you can't control sometimes what you receive from your friends. It could be inappropriate material, also illegal material. Because they are your friend, they have your cell phone number, they also are your friends on social media, they may be able to send you these things. So even though you didn't have anything to do with it, if you're found with it sometimes in your possession and there's a problem, you could get in trouble just like your friend, even though you just received it. So you want to be mindful of that. Like we said earlier, it enables the spread of unreliable or false information. Just because it's on the internet and just because somebody else says that it's true doesn't make it true. I highly recommend, especially if something is very controversial, to look it up on your own. Don't just take it as the gospel truth. Research it and make sure that it is good information and get your information from a reliable source. What is a reliable source? It could be several sites. You may use Google or the homework hotline. But when you're looking at bad sources that might not be as reliable, from talking to different teachers, Wikipedia is one of those things that teachers, they do not accept as a source. So you always want to make sure you back yourself up and get a reliable source of information and don't just take it as is and that is true information. I don't know about you, but I have also been very guilty of wasting valuable time using social media. Whether it's a social media app, checking it first thing when I get up in the morning, or if there's a game that could be played online or on social media. You have some spare time, instead of doing something productive, you're actually using something that could be wasted time, and you could be doing something productive. May not be the best thing to do. So be aware of that. It also can encourage you to participate in reckless behavior. What do I mean by reckless behavior? What I mean is some of these dangerous challenges, not like the ice bucket challenge, but there are several challenges out there that could actually put you and your friends or even your family in harm and danger. Sometimes we have a false sense of security because the person who's doing it on that video, on that YouTube video, they didn't get hurt, but just because they didn't get hurt, that doesn't mean that they didn't get hurt after that or previously. But it also doesn't mean that you won't get hurt or you won't hurt yourself or endanger yourself, your friends, or your family. I have done this workshop several times, and I have talked to several kids who I would think would never do certain things. They admitted to doing some of these things just because they saw them on the internet and they thought it would be fun to do. Always use good judgment when you are doing or thinking about doing some of these challenges that you see online. Like the previous text on the slide before, it can encourage poor grammar and spelling. Hey, it's okay if you're texting or DMing your friends and y'all talking, abbreviated language and words. That's fine. But make sure that it's not what you turn into your teacher, or that's not how you text your boss or your grandmother. There's a time and a place for everything, and this is definitely one of those things that you want to be aware of. Also, sometimes we could be having fun with our friends and our family, and we're putting things on social media, and we think it's funny and think it's not going to offend anybody. But sometimes that is definitely not the case. We're in a day and time where even though your page may be private or you think it's private, it will not keep somebody else from actually downloading it or screen recording something that you've done and share it to someone else. It could affect your job like it did with the young lady on Cisco on the previous slide. It can affect your job opportunities. And also, if you're looking to go to college, more and more college admission counselors and other people in colleges are looking at your social media. And that can affect your future, so you want to make sure you make good decisions when you are using social media. Does that make sense? Does it make sense? Okay, so we're going to move on. Let's look at some things that can be really ugly that comes on with social media. Here is a video that I want you to take time to take a look at. This is a video by Kobe Pearson, and it's great for you to look at, to you to learn from, and also for your parents to look at as well. So take time to take a look at this video. And once you finish, go to the next slide. Now, let's look into some of the things that can really be ugly when it comes to social media. Just like on the previous video that I just showed on the previous slide, you have to be careful talking to people that you don't know on the internet. In this day and time, everybody wants to have the most followers and they want to get the most likes, but you never know who's following you. You never know who's liking your posts, especially if you've never met them in person. And a lot of times, maybe you have met them in person. That still doesn't mean that they're not a dangerous person. People can be anything and anybody they want on the internet, so you have to be careful talking to people that you do not know on social media. Crimes that are being put on social media can be used as evidence against you. If you or your friends or y'all are on social media and y'all video yourselves, whether you're fighting, whether you're doing something that could possibly be illegal, you may think you're having fun going to TP your neighbor's house on Halloween, or you're taking something out of the store because you think it'll be funny. There are cameras everywhere. If they're not something that's been installed in an actual business, everybody records everything on their phones. And they put it on social media because they're wanting their 15 minutes of fame. Listen, I don't care if your page is private or not. Somebody will always have access to their information. If you're doing things that you're not supposed to do, and the police or your parents or your teachers or your principals get a hold of that information, it can be used as evidence against you. So you want to be careful when you do those types of things. Putting your whereabouts on social media can put you and or your property in danger. If somebody wants to do something to you, they want to hurt you, or if they wanted to break into your house, if you are checking in locations, or maybe you and your family are going out of town, it's not wise to put on social media that you and your family are in Disney World and you're going to be gone for a week. Do you know why? Because if you put on social media or on the internet or in a group chat or message with your friends, so-called friends, I should say, and you say you're going to be gone for a whole week, you're letting people know that you're going to be away from your property or your belongings for a week. You're letting them know you're not there. You're giving them ample opportunity. If they wanted to do something to you and or your property, you're letting them know where you are and also where you are not. That is not something you want to put on social media. You want to be careful. You may say, I have an alarm on your house. I understand, and those are great things to have. But still, do not let people know where you are and how long you're going to be gone. Somebody may be able to come and find you, and also they may go and damage your property because they know that you're not there. You have to be careful with what you put on social media. This is probably one of the most important things that I always like to emphasize. There is no expiration date on the internet. And what that means is, once you put something out there, it is out there forever. It's out there on a server. It's out there where somebody has actually recorded it or downloaded, and it can resurface at any time. You might have done something when you were younger, and it could come back 10 years later and affect something you're wanting to do. Like I said previously in the previous section, a previous job or a future job or college admissions, it can always come back to haunt you. So I have a rule of thumb. If you don't want your parents to see it, your mentor, your pastor of a church, if you're going to anybody, your grandparents, if you do not want them to see it, don't put it out there. You have got to be careful. It can always come back to bite you in the end. So always be careful. Okay, guys, this concludes our presentation on the good, the bad, the ugly of social media. But we just want to make sure before we leave, we reiterate that social media and the internet can be a fun and informative place to be and to take part in, but there is a responsibility. When we don't do the right thing or make good decisions, it can be a dangerous and tricky place to be. So we want to make sure that you make informed decisions before you post or before you decide to communicate with anyone on social media, especially the ones that you may not know. Below is my email address. I look forward to hearing any questions or concerns you would like to share about this particular presentation. Also, here are some of the websites that we have actually used that have been very helpful in creating our presentation for you. Don't hesitate to go on your own to look at these particular websites and maybe find more information that will be useful to yourself. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed our presentation. Take care. Hey guys, here is some bonus information, bonus videos from Kobe Pearson. Take a look at them and see if they have some other information that you will find useful when you're making sure you're mindful while using the social media and the internet. Take care.